Begging you, please, delete this stuff. This is my reputation, bro. I apologize for saying what I said to you. Please, man.
But you said it was cap, though. What was cap, Demetrius?
Celina, I said that to get the post deleted, Celina.
Okay. All right. But now you want to make me look like a liar in front of the internet. It's crazy, Demetrius.
That's not how I tried to make you seem. I apologize for that.
Lil Meech has once again found himself in the headlines after being exposed by Celina Powell, a situation that's becoming a recurring theme and at this point appears to be happening by choice rather than by accident. It's difficult to generate sympathy for someone repeatedly returning to a toxic cycle, especially when the behavior seems voluntary. The larger message here, particularly for the younger audience watching, is crucial. No one should willingly put themselves in compromising situations, especially when they have a name, reputation, and public image to protect. Fame and influence demand a higher level of awareness, and tolerating repeated disrespect undermines that entirely. While the specifics of what Lil Meech might be dealing with remain unclear, there should never come a point where someone accepts blatant disrespect from a person who has already humiliated them publicly.
February 13th, the Big Meech benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the.
By allowing Celina back into his circle, fully aware she could be recording him, he is essentially validating her previous claims and accusations. Reports even suggest there was communication and pleading involved, signaling that some form of relationship existed. Once those private details hit the internet, they spread across every major blog with millions of viewers, magnifying the embarrassment and damage to his public image far beyond the initial incident. This isn't about trying to appear like the coolest person in the room or pretending to have all the answers. Because when it comes to situations like this, there's a fundamental truth that applies to everyone. Once a woman shows through her actions that she doesn't respect you, and once she makes it clear in her mind that respect is gone, it's nearly impossible to regain it. When someone thrives on chaos and seeks to tear things down when they don't get their way, history often repeats itself.
Because Big Meech is doing this big concert, and I believe he was probably trying to create more interest in it. And so then 50 gets upset.
That means another moment will come when she'll air everything out again, putting private matters in public view. At that point, it's no longer a relationship built on mutual respect. It's a dynamic where you're moving around like a puppet, controlled and diminished, and that's a role no man should ever accept. What's even more damaging is how these repeated missteps contradict the image being presented online. The carefully written captions, the posed pictures, the curated lifestyle, they paint one version of a story, but the reality behind the scenes tells something completely different. The actions taken over the years, especially in 2025, show a pattern of poor decision-making and self-sabotage. And that disconnect is what forces people to question everything. Who is he really? Why do the choices keep steering toward disaster? And how did things go so far off course? It's hard to understand what isn't connecting when the situation is this clear. Celina Powell's reputation has been public knowledge for years. She's made a career out of public scandals, viral content, and high-profile relationships. None of this is hidden or new information.
Begging you, please, delete this stuff. This is my reputation, bro. I apologize for saying what I said to you. Please, man.
But you said it was cap, though. What was cap, Demetrius?
Celina, I said that to get the post deleted, Celina.
Okay. All right. But now you want to make me look like a liar in front of the internet. It's crazy, Demetrius.
That's not how I tried to make you seem. I apologize for that.
Despite that, the choice to repeatedly involve himself with her and even treat her like a serious partner shows a serious disconnect between perception and reality. This is not someone operating discreetly behind the scenes. She's built a whole image around public encounters, explicit content, and controversial headlines. And when someone has already shared that side of their life openly, stepping into that dynamic while expecting respect or exclusivity becomes nearly impossible. It's not just about her past, it's about what's happening now, visible for millions to see. And here's where the consequences start stacking up. Once disrespect leaves the private sphere and enters the public one, the impact is much heavier. Private embarrassment might sting, but public humiliation changes how people view you entirely. followers, peers, and even potential business partners start to form their own conclusions. They might not say it out loud, but the respect meter drops significantly. And in a culture that values strength, discipline, and image, especially in entertainment and hip-hop, repeated public disrespect can label someone as weak, easily manipulated, or even a clown in the eyes of the audience. Once that narrative sets in, it's almost impossible to shake. This situation reflects a much larger problem that's becoming common in the entertainment world and beyond: the normalization of public disrespect. It's not just about one relationship, it's about the message it sends, especially to the younger generation watching closely.
Airport. Gun in the bag.
Yeah.
I go to private school. It's not mine, it's his gun. You don't know my dad?
There's an important lesson here about self-respect, boundaries, and understanding value beyond superficial validation. When someone publicly mocks, humiliates, or exposes private matters, and then confidently predicts that you'll return, that's a sign of total control over the situation. It shifts the power dynamic completely, placing you in a subordinate role while they dictate the narrative. It's not only embarrassing, it's dangerous. When a person feels bold enough to air out financial details, living situations, or personal vulnerabilities, they're signaling they have no fear of consequences. In some cases, that type of behavior even crosses into manipulation or setups. This isn't just about pride, it's about safety, reputation, and future stability. Once a person reveals who they are, that's information you need to act on. Patterns don't change simply because of apologies or promises. If they've made a habit of public disrespect, they're likely to do it again, and each time it becomes harder to recover your dignity. For anyone watching, especially younger men or fathers raising sons, the lesson is clear. The moment someone treats you as property rather than a partner, it's time to walk away. Self-respect must come before any attachment, no matter how deep.
Lil Meech is not a gangster.
Not at all.
He's the son of a gangster. Meech was making money, but he was spending it hand over fist, like you said.
Chrome heart jeans. You got 10 pair of those, do the math. What's that, 100,000?
This situation is a powerful example of why it's crucial to recognize toxic dynamics early and draw hard boundaries before they consume everything around you. When someone carries deeply rooted issues or destructive behavior, no amount of effort can fix them. Real change must come from within. Trying to save someone who isn't ready to save themselves often leads to one outcome: they pull you down with them. The cycle of disrespect and humiliation doesn't end just because feelings are involved. Once a person is comfortable mocking you, exposing private details, or making you a topic of conversation with their friends, the respect in that relationship is already gone. And when that happens, it's not just about your pride. It's about how you're being viewed and treated moving forward. People talk, they share stories, and soon your private life becomes a public joke. That's why allowing repeated disrespect only reinforces the power imbalance and makes it nearly impossible to regain authority in the situation. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and shared leadership. If one side begins to see themselves as superior, especially in a way that openly belittles or undermines the other, the balance is lost. The reality is, no one should feel entitled to publicly humiliate or dominate their partner. The moment someone does, the priority shifts from trying to fix them to protecting your peace, self-worth, and future. Boundaries aren't just about walking away. They're about setting a standard for how you demand to be treated. In the bigger picture, the role of a man in a relationship has always carried heavy expectations: to lead, protect, and provide stability. That responsibility isn't just financial or physical. It's also about creating a foundation where respect flows both ways and the dynamic stays balanced. But leadership doesn't mean domination, and provision doesn't mean accepting disrespect in exchange for loyalty. When that balance breaks, when a partner uses humiliation, betrayal, or manipulation, the relationship becomes dangerous ground. It's not just about how one person behaves in public or online. It's about how that behavior erodes trust and weakens the bond at its core. People who thrive on chaos often repeat the same patterns. They exploit, they expose, and when the excitement fades, they move on to the next situation, leaving destruction behind. The sad truth is many who operate in that cycle often end up bitter, lonely, and desperate for validation once the attention fades. They seek someone to rescue them, not out of love, but because they need someone to absorb the consequences of their choices. That's why it's critical to recognize the warning signs early and step back before you're the one left cleaning up the mess. At the end of the day, strength in relationships isn't just about providing resources or protection. It's also about having the self-respect to walk away when someone no longer values what you bring. True leadership means setting boundaries and refusing to let someone else's chaos define your worth. Now, the fallout from this kind of situation doesn't just affect personal relationships. It has real consequences for reputation, legacy, and influence, especially in the public eye. Once a man becomes known for tolerating public disrespect, the way people view him changes dramatically. Industry figures start to distance themselves, fans stop taking him seriously, and potential business opportunities can quietly disappear. In entertainment, perception is often more powerful than reality, and once that perception shifts, rebuilding credibility becomes an uphill battle. This is exactly the slippery slope that Lil Meech seems to be sliding down. Each viral scandal, from disrespectful videos to public humiliation, chips away at the image he's been trying to build. What once looked like confidence now reads as weakness. What once felt like power now comes across as desperation. And the people watching, labels, brands, directors, and even peers, begin to question whether he has the discipline and self-respect needed to operate at the highest level. It's a hard truth. In an industry built on image and influence, respect is currency. Once it's lost, it's nearly impossible to buy back. And if Lil Meech keeps entertaining situations that drag his name through the mud, he risks losing not only public respect, but also the very opportunities that could define his future. At this point, the question isn't just about who he's dating or what drama he's caught in. It's whether he's willing to reclaim control of his narrative before it's too late. At the end of the day, this situation isn't just about one messy relationship. It's about the bigger picture of how choices shape respect, reputation, and legacy. When someone chooses to stay tied to drama, humiliation, and chaos, they're actively steering their own downfall. No amount of fame, money, or attention can fix the damage caused by repeatedly lowering standards and tolerating blatant disrespect. There's a valuable lesson here about self-worth and leadership. When a man knows his value, he sets boundaries that protect his peace and his future. He doesn't chase validation from people who publicly humiliate him. He doesn't confuse attention for love. And most importantly, he doesn't let short-term desires destroy long-term opportunities. So the question now is, will Lil Meech finally learn that lesson, or will he keep spiraling deeper into scandal until the industry stops watching? Either way, the world is paying attention. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think he can bounce back from this? Or is his image already too far gone? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the next chapter in this story is only just beginning.